So to get a requirement of 1 to 100 in this pattern, then the code is to be first, can we generate a loop which starts from 1, which ends with 100, which increases by 1 at one time? Can you write a loop for that? Yes, we can write it. So what's the loop? So for loop, say int I equals 1, then I should be less than or equals to 100, then I plus plus, then the loop body, Normally, if you print it, for example, if I print system.out.println, say print the variable I, what's output? Yeah. So we are going to get each number vertically, 1 in next line, 2, like that. Yeah. So then I want to print them in the same line. What to do? I don't want to print vertically. I want to print in the same line. Yeah.
Print.
So for that, instead of a println, we have to use only print. So that's my next point. So with this code, I'll get all numbers in one single line. But where the number has to break. Yeah. So next point. So after printing one number, what's next thing to be printed? Comma has to be printed, right? That's why I'm using plus symbol to concatenate one string. And in that, comma is a symbol. So now, because of this code, we are going to get 1, comma, 2, comma, 3, comma, and so on, 99, comma, 100. 100, comma also. So this is 1. Now, is it what we expect? No. We don't want comma at the end of 100, and the line has to break every time 10, 20, and all. Then this 10, 20, and so on up to 100, can we take the multiples of 2? Can we break if it is a multiple of 2? No, because after 2 also it will be break. So therefore, so considering them for as considering all these numbers as multiples of 2 is not a logically correct for this equation. Then can we go for 5 multiples of 5? Then at 5 also it will be break. That's why 5 is also not correct. Then what we have to go for? 10. If any number from this output, if any number is a multiple of 10 or divisible by 10, then go to next line. Print that number and go to next line. So for that, I am using a condition. Something is condition, then it has to be the first block. Correct? Then that's why. So here, if that I mod 10 double equals 0 means a number is divisible by 10. Yeah. Then what we have to do? We have to print that number or not? Yeah. System.out.print or println. Print that number and the cursor has to go to next line. That's why println has to be used here. Then print that I value. Any comma is required after that. That's why close this here. Then if the first one is executed, if this if condition is executed, then should we execute this print statement also? If a first one, if condition body is executed, then should we execute this line also or not? Is it alternate for if or it is every time? That's my question. It's alternate. That's why keep this in the else block. Over. That's it. So this is the code which gives exactly this output. So 9, comma will be printed. Then 10, new line. Go to 11 and up to 19 each time a comma. Then 20, print this I only. Then go to next I value. So that is how this logic will work. Here, so print, it's alternate for the above print statement. It's alternate. That's why if and else blocks. Understood? That's it. So I didn't explain the answer for this question. I explained the approach. First, can we generate a loop for numbers from 1 to 100? Then can we print every time with a comma? And then next requirement, I don't want this comma and if it is a multiple of 10. That's why it is a condition-based code always has to be first. Then alternate block should be in the else part. So that's how the process has to be for any given question. We might get a different question in the interview. So all our discussions you have to implement It is like there is a saying, right? In a practice match, everybody will hit a 6. Yeah.
So I have used two for loops, sir.
If you are
No if
using
loop and
multiple for loops for this program, then that is not a efficient logic. Its execution time is too much delayed. Nested for loop will take too much of time than two for loops. And even if you are using two for loops also separately, then still it is much execution time compared to the single for loop. So that's why we have to use the least number of loops to get a output. Any program, not only for this. Any program, least number of loops is the best logic. So
okay.
then let me move to the next concept after memory architecture, after types of variables. Okay. The next concept is, so for example, I'll have a requirement. The requirement is store the names of 4 people. So if this is the requirement, so there are some names. So there is a Sai Teja, and then there is a Rashant, and there is a Mohan Krishna, and there is a Madhu. How do you store all these names with our previous knowledge of Java? And
In
print also.
strings.
Yeah, in strings will be storing, correct or not? So like you said, inside main method, inside a main method, let me use first string data type, some variable name 1. So a meaningful name called name1 equals first person name. Since it's a string, it has to be enclosed in double quotes, correct or not? Then followed by next time once again string name2, and second person name in double quotes. Like this, next data type string only, a variable name3 equals the next data, say Mohan I'll take. The next one more time string variable 4 equals Madhu. So this is the approach. Assume in that company there are 100 people are there. Then how many names? 100 names has to be. Then how do you store? 100 times you take string and a name1, name2, name3, name100. Then if it is company like Infosys, there are thousands of employees are there. Then how do you store? So we are getting there is a problem. We are feeling that there is a problem.
Array.
Correct? What is the problem here? The problem is when it comes to storing the value, we store in any format. We may use any approach or any predefined things and all. The memory consumption for this Sai Teja as a 7 characters will be same or different? It will be same only, right? However you store, Sai Teja will consume 14 bytes of memory. Am I correct? Then wherever you store Rashant will occupy 16 bytes of memory, correct? Then Mohan will occupy 10 bytes of memory. Then Madhu will occupy 10 bytes of memory. Will this be changed or will this will not be changed? This will not be changed. In whichever the format you store, a name is having certain characters and each character will take 2 bytes of memory, and that's the memory consumption for each data or each value. But if you observe these variables, variables also will consume the memory. Maybe this we didn't discuss previously. So today I am adding this point. Whenever we store some data, for example, int x equals 100, then for int as a primitive type, it takes 4 bytes. It's because of int, not data. For primitives, it's because of the data type, 4 bytes. Then x is 1 character as a variable, then 2 more bytes. So overall, this will take 6 bytes of memory. So maybe previously we didn't discuss about variable consuming the memory. But now it's a time to understand variables also takes the memory. So now this name1 as a variable will consume how many bytes of memory? 10 bytes. Name2, 10 bytes. Name3, 10 bytes. Name4 also 10 bytes. Only for these 4 variable names, how much is the memory consumption? 40. Yes or no? 10, 10, 10, 10. So this is a 40 bytes of memory consumption. So if it is 100 employees, 1000 bytes, correct or not? So this is the concern. Then can we avoid? Can we avoid this? This cannot be avoided. The data of the names cannot be avoided. So it will consume the same amount of memory only. But can we avoid consuming 40 bytes of memory only for variable names? That's the question.
Yes, sir.
Yes, we can avoid. So for that, even if I want to store all, say, mobile numbers. So first person's number, second person number, third person number, fourth person number with four different variables. Again, each variable will consume some memory. Can we avoid that? And there is an employee ID 1, 2, 3, 4. So can we store all these employee IDs together instead of four different variables? So for example, E1, employee 1, employee 2, employee 3, employee 4, and their ID. This is my variable. So they are of int type, int, and all. So now can we avoid consuming the memory for these four variables? So that is a question. What is the answer? Yes, it is possible. So for that, the concept is arrays. Arrays is a concept in Java where we can store the multiple values by using a single variable name. Yeah, instead of four different variable names in first string scenario, instead of four different variable names in int scenario, we can use only one variable name. So for example, if you are using only one variable name called name, then it takes how much bytes? 8 bytes. Then 40 bytes and 8 bytes. There is a big difference, right? Only for four variables only, we were able to store some 32 bytes of memory. We are able to save 32 bytes of memory. So if assume that if there are thousands of employees, then in that scenario, it is a very much memory saving. So for such reasons, for such type of requirements, and to save such type of memory, we have to go for a next concept. Arrays is a concept. Array. So what is an array? A definition or a meaning. Array is a collection of logically related data and used to store under single variable name. This is the meaning of array. Yeah. So here I am using some terminology. What is a logically related data? All has to be strings, like names example. All has to be numbers, like employee IDs. All has to be long, like mobile number example. So then only we can go for a array. Then only it is requirement to go for array. For example, I want to store name of a person, then age of a person, then mobile number of a person. Can we use array for this? No, because name is string type, then age is a int type, mobile number is a long type, then that they are logically related or not? No, then we should not go for array. If all are logically related, then only we have to go for array. Clear? Yeah. Then first, what is the syntax? Then how do you store the previous data in array format? That we'll see. So for this, the syntax of array is data type, square brackets, variable name of programmer choice, angular bracket means programmer choice, assignment operator, then flower brackets, value 1, value 2, value 3, and so on. We can use any number of values, no restriction there. So this is the syntax of an array. Then how do you store the same names by using array? One example. The example, what's the data type of all these names? String. Then can we use, in place of data type, can we use a string? Yes, capital, then square brackets. What's the variable name? N or name whatever it is, n for name equals the floor brackets. What type of values they are? String values. So they must be in double quotes. Like Sai Teja, I'm writing Teja. Then Rashant. Next value, double quotes, string value. The next string value, double quotes, say Madhu. The next string value, say Mohan. That's it. This is my array. Now, these values also consume the same amount of memory like here. Okay, don't say that names are different. But when it comes to variable, here each variable is taking how much? 10 bytes. For 4 variables, 40 bytes. But here my variable name is only one variable, 2 bytes of memory is a consumption. Then how much we can save? 38 bytes of memory. Only for 4 names we can save it. Assume a big organization, any big company for 100 employees. Then 100 into 10, 1000 bytes, 2 bytes. 998 bytes we can save it. So that's the reason behind why we should go for to group a logically related data with the help of arrays concept. Understood? Clear? Now let us understand the syntax to store various types of data. So here I have given one example to store a string type of data in string array. Yeah. Then the next example, store 10, 20, 30, and so on up to 100. How to store? What's the syntax? Can you please tell me? It
Int
is a
square brackets
int type of array. So int square brackets, some variable of
I equals
I equals floor brackets. What's the data?
1 to
10,
10, 20.
10, 20, 30, and so on up to 100. It should be in double quotes or no? No, because int
No double
values
quotes.
directly we can write it as it is. If it is long, then the value has to end with L. If it is float, the value has to end with F. If it is Boolean, only true or false. Only true or false are allowed inside the Boolean array. Possible? Boolean array is possible. In place of data type, can we use all types of arrays? Byte array, possible?
Possible.
Yes, possible. Short array, possible? Yes. Int array, possible. Long array, possible. Float array, possible. Double array, possible. Boolean array, possible. Character array, possible. String array also possible. All are possible. Primitive and string also, all are possible. Okay. I'm concluding. I'm not asking question. Okay. So the next requirement, store the alphabets A, B, C, D, and so on up to Z, A to Z. Tell me how to write array for this. So type of array is
Character
char, square brackets,
square brackets.
some variable of programmer choice equals single quotes A, comma, single quotes B, comma, single quotes C, and so on, single quotes Z. Last, should we end with comma? No.
No.
Then close floor brackets, then semicolon. So this is how we can declare various types of arrays, depends on the logically related data, depends on the requirements. Yeah. Then the next important point, what are the properties of arrays? Properties of array. What are the properties? The first point is arrays are internally, or just let me write directly, arrays are objects in Java. It's an object. If it is an object, then in which memory segment it will be stored? In RAM only there are 5 memory segments. In that, which memory segment? Objects will be stored in which memory segment? Heap memory. So therefore, arrays are objects in Java. That's why arrays will be stored in heap memory. Array will be stored in heap memory. Whenever JVM executes our array line, then that will be created in the heap memory, will be stored in heap memory. Yeah. Next property. The next property, arrays, array elements or array values or array data or array objects. Any all these terminals are same. Array elements will be stored based on indexing, based on index or position values. What's the meaning of this? Yeah. For example, if you take one integer array, say int array, some variable of program or choice, x equals the flower brackets. Possible mistake is we'll write square brackets. No, flower brackets only. Then here, say I'll take some 123, comma, 222, then 333, something like this. 4 numbers I'm taking. This is the line. What's the meaning of this second property? Means in heap memory, the array elements will be stored in based on the index values. So the array is a order of collection. So where if this is the heap memory and where JVM will allocate 4 memory locations in the object because it has 4 values. Then first value will be stored. It's an ordered collection. Array is a ordered collection. Ordered collection means what? However, the programmer gives the values in the same order in memory also they'll be stored. That's why it's an ordered collection. So 123, 222, 333, and 444. This is how it will be stored. But based on what? Index values. So by default, in any programming language, if index concept comes, the starting index value will be what? 0 always.
0.
Then next subsequent indexes will be incrementation order and by 1 only. Yeah, increasing order by 1. That's why 0, 1, 2, 3. So this is the indexing. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah. Next point. The third point is, so here it is possible. Array allows to access elements based on what? The array name, square brackets, inside this, the index. We have to use it. So this is the next property. What is the meaning of this one? I want to print only 222. Then how do we print it? We have to access that element by what? The array name. What's array name? X is array name. What's the index number for this 222? 1. So therefore, for example, for my third property, since I want to access and print it, say, so here system.out.println, this is to print. But for printing, we have to access now. How to access? The array name. What's array name? X is array name. And square brackets. What's index number for this? 1. So if we access 0, we'll get output as 123. If we access 1, 222, 2, 333 like that. So for this line of code, we are going to get output called as 222. This is what the meaning of my property 3. Clear? Next. Then the next property here. Accessing array elements with index which is not available, will throw any syntax error? Will throw no syntax error, but will throw runtime error. Runtime errors are called as exceptions in a programming language that we'll discuss later. Runtime error, and you are expected to remember this error name with proper case sensitivity also. The error is array A capital index I capital, no space, out O capital, off O capital, bounds B capital, plural, exception. So this is what we are going to get. So what is the previous thing I said? We can access array elements by using array name with index number. But if the index number is not available, for example, 0, 1, 2, 3 are the available indexes. I want to access x of 100. Then what do we get? We'll get this exception. So the example for my above property is if you are trying to access the array elements by using non-available index. So for example, 9. Do we have any ninth element? No, nothing is there in the ninth position, is not there at all. So that's why we are going to get this exception. We are writing the syntax, compiler will not throw any error. But when you execute or when you run the program, then JVM will throw this exception called array index out of bounds exception. It's a point to remember. Any doubts from these 4 properties? Clear? Next. 5th property. By default, JVM provides a property called length for every array. Its JVM will give that property. What is that? To find length of array. To find length of array. What's the meaning of this length? Total number of elements. Total number of elements of the array. What's the meaning of this one? For example, if we have one array, integer array is for easy for me to write it, but it is applied to every array. Okay. So just for my convenience, I'm taking this always int only, maybe. So here, then say 1, 5, 7, 4, 2, 6, 8. This is my array. Now I want to know how many elements are there in this array. So for that, what is the property that JVM is giving? Length property. Then how to use it? System.out.println to see the output. Then what's property? Length property. How to use it? Array name
A square bracket
dot
length.
A dot length. That's all. Array name dot length. So that allows to get the length of the array, that is total number of elements. Now tell me, if I am using this A dot length, how many elements are there in this? What's output? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You should count from 1 or you should
6.
count from 0?
6.
Yeah, so somebody is saying 6 here. Should we count from 0 or should we count from 1?
From 0.
Okay, don't take this as this one. So for example, if this is say 8. Yeah, from where we have to count? Yeah, from 8 itself, but 8 is 0 or 8 is 1? 8 is first element. Yeah, counting with natural numbers only is the conclusion. So therefore, what's the size or length? 7 only. Okay, 7 only. It's not 6. But what is the index number, last index number? So for the same A array, internally in the memory, if it stores the elements in the insertion order called 8, 5, 7, 4, 2, 6, 8, then what is the index number starts from 0. Next 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Correct or not? Last index is what? 6. Length is what? 7. Then can we generate one standard logic between the last index and length? Yeah, or index equals to? Correct. So here,
-1.
the next property for programmers to remember, it applies and it is a generalized logic for every array. So what is that? The last index of every array is nothing but the array length minus 1. So this is a property to remember. And for writing the loop logics on arrays, we are going to use this one only every time. Yeah. So these are the some properties of an array. Yeah. So all these things to be remembered before we go for any array-based programs. Am I clear? Or any questions? Am I clear or any questions? Clear.
Sir, that length it should come as 6, no, sir. But how 7, sir?
No, length will, what is the meaning of length? Total number of elements. How to count it?
Yes, sir.
Should we count based on the index numbers or should we count based on the number of elements? Natural counting. For example,
Based on natural numbers.
in a room, how many chairs
Mm-hmm.
are there? Your counting will start from 0 or your counting will start from 1?
1.
1. So same way here also, for getting the length, we have to start counting from 1. But for index numbers, it should start from 0. There is a difference. So in that way, if
Okay,
you
sir.
count from 1 only, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 are there. That's why 7.
In array, to select the element, we have to use indexing, but for length, it will come as natural numbers, no, sir.
Yeah, length to get the total number of elements of the array, natural counting only will be there.
Okay, sir, got it.
Yeah. So these are the properties of the arrays. Okay.
Sir, what does that square bracket indicate, sir?
Square brackets,
In main method also it's there.
it's an array. So here, previously, I used to pronounce, that is, what is that? Public static void main method, and inside this string
Strings,
square brackets. What is this means now? It's a string array.
arrays.
It's a string array, that's all. The input for this main method is a string array. What is this args? Some variable name, like we will use int(x) as a value for our area method. How we are using this? Int, the same way it's a string array. This x is nothing but professional way. It's an arguments, args, that's all.
Okay.
Nothing beyond that. Yeah. Clear, guys? So here args is a variable name, that's all. Whenever we write a method, for example, public class, I'll take a square class. And inside this, I want to define area method. How to define? Public, return type is integer, method name is area. To find area, I need a side as a parameter. Similarly, public static void main also is a method, because parenthesis. A blind rule is, if parentheses are there, that's a method. Then here this method will take one input. What's the input type? String array. What's the variable name? Args. That's it. Yeah. So here, previously, when we are discussing about method syntax, how many parameters are allowed to take as per the industry standard? At maximum 4 as per the industry standard. Syntactically, we can take 100, but as per the industry standard, 4 only. But I want more than 4. What to do? If I take this A, then how many inputs will come? Entire array elements will come. That's it. That's a solution. Array is a solution. So if I am using this int A by declaring some array, and if I am using some array variable name, then how many variables we are taking? The entire array collection. It may have 100, it may have 1000 also. The problem will be solved. Yeah, that is one more point. Since it is asked, so therefore, one more question's answer also I have given. What if my method needs more than 4 parameters? Then go for array. That's the answer. Yeah. So please join back.